Still to come tonight, President Trump issues a new warning to California leaders who do not follow federal immigration laws.
I would recommend that you look into obstruction of justice for the mayor of Oakland, California, Jeff.
Nearly 24 others are fighting back. We're going to talk to one of those who is defying the backlash in California. Plus, the gubernatorial race in Georgia is getting very interesting in a battle as to who could out-Trump Trump, shall we say. And candidate Michael Williams has a deportation bus that he is standing in front of, and it got pulled from YouTube. We'll tell you why after this.
We're going to implement my 287G deportation plan that's going to fill this bus with illegals to send them back to where they came from.
So who can out-Trump Trump may be the name of the game in the Georgia race for the next governor of that state. Next Tuesday, 5 Republicans are on the ballot in the race to replace GOP Governor Nathan Deal, who is term limited there. And here come the candidates. First up, former state senator Hunter Hill.
As governor, I'll stop sanctuary cities and eliminate the state income tax. During 3 combat tours, I defended our Constitution, and now I'm ready to serve again. These guys, they'll never make it out of the swamp.
Then there is Georgia's Secretary of State, Brian Kemp.
I own guns that no one's taking away. My chainsaw's ready to rip up some regulations. I got a big truck, just in case I need to round up criminal illegals and take them home myself. Yep, I just said that.
Did you get the subtlety in that message? Last and most provocative, perhaps, I don't know, it's a pretty tough race, is State Senator Michael Williams.
We've got the deportation bus. That's right, you heard me, the Michael Williams deportation bus. If you want to find out where we're coming, go to deportationbus.com. We're going to implement my 287G deportation plan that's going to fill this bus with illegals to send them back to where they came from. We're not just going to track them and watch them roam around our state. We're going to put them on this bus and send them home.
He joins us now with that bus behind him. Good to see you this evening, sir. How did this idea come to you? And you're I think 5th in the polls right now. Is it sort of a last-ditch effort to get some attention? I guess is one question.
Well, first of all, Martha, thank you so much for having us on. And the way that we came up with this idea, my campaign staff, we were trying to figure out what kind of bus tour we wanted to have. And we decided we didn't want to do one of those traditional kind of boring campaign bus tours. We wanted to come up with something that exemplified what our tagline meant, which was fearless conservative, as well as addresses an issue that's pivotal to my campaign as well as important to all Georgians, and that's illegal immigration. So we came up with the Michael Williams deportation bus tour, and we actually started it today, and we went to 2 sanctuary cities to bring attention to the effects of illegal immigration here in our state and our country. And we feel very, very confident about our position in this race. We have had tons of people reach out to us over the past several weeks saying that they've early voted for us. I know there's polls out there that want to say otherwise, but we all know polls don't matter. What really matters is who shows up at the ballot box.
So you have a video about the bus, and it was taken down by YouTube. Why was that? And I believe they put it back up, right?
Absolutely. They took it down because they said, and they sent us a confirmation that they took it down because it was fear, hate speech. And what was really exciting to me was that we had supporters not just here in Georgia, but all over the country. People that love the First Amendment, that love our conservative values. They reached out to YouTube and said, put that video back up, and they caved, and they put it back up. So I was glad to see that happen.
In terms of what's happening in your state, there was a period where it looked like it could go blue. It was, sort of blue-red in Georgia. What's your feeling for how your state is shifting right now, and how do you think that you can make up the ground that you appear to have lost to Casey Cagle, the lieutenant governor there?
Well, we always knew that Casey Cagle was going to make it to the runoff. He's been in office for almost a quarter of a century. He's got really high name ID. It's not very good name ID, but it's high. Our goal, our objective was always to make it to that second spot so that we could make it to the runoff with him. And as far as the state going blue, going red. We here in Georgia, we love our president. We love what he's doing. We love the values that he is fighting for. And I am 100% confident that we are going to have a Republican governor in Georgia in 2019.
Did you get anybody on the bus yet?
No, that's one of the questions that we get asked as we travel around. We've spoken to many news outlets, and they want to know, well, Michael, are you actually picking up illegals and putting them on the bus? The answer to that is no, we're not. The purpose of the bus is to bring attention to my 287G deportation program, which would allow sheriff's deputies to have many of their deputies act as ICE agents, so that we can have 159 counties with acting ICE agents in it, so that once they identify someone that's in our country illegally, they can begin the deportation process immediately, not have to wait for federal agents.
All right, sir. Good to see you tonight. Michael Williams, thank you for being here. Let's bring in our panel. Charlie Hurt, political columnist at the Washington Times, also drives a truck, I believe. Jessica Tarlov, and has a gun, I think.
And I have
That's him, not me.
Senior Director of Research at Bustle.com. Both are Fox News contributors. Charlie, wow. Those make Donald Trump look kind of genteel. Maybe, this is good for the president.
Yeah. And as you pointed out, the nuance and subtlety is what I like the most about all of those ads. Yeah, indeed. But it is, I do think that it's sort of an important point that people around here ought to remember. As shocked and horrified as they are about Donald Trump and his ascendancy, what if he is not the storm itself, but the warning of a storm? There still remains a lot of anger out in the country about Washington and how professional politicians do their business around here. There's a lot of anger, and politically speaking, even more conservative than what Donald Trump is. And so I think that this is probably a pretty good glimpse of what we'll probably be seeing a lot of over the next 4 years. I wouldn't be surprised if one of these guys wins. And that guy Williams, I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't win just on the fact that YouTube decided to pull his
he's definitely going to try to
on
capitalize on that, to be sure. Yeah. Jessica, it makes me wonder if maybe Democrats want to have a different kind of bus, and pick people up to bring them to sanctuary cities, something like that. I mean, maybe we could get a lot of different buses going around the country.
I would love it. I would drive that bus.
You would drive that bus.
Yes. No, I agree with Charlie that this is definitely a wave, what's going on here with this Trumpian wave. And a lot of people are obviously taking signals from what has worked for the president and bringing that to their localities here. It was interesting to me that Michael Williams said there, I'm a fearless conservative, and that's what this is. And that used to mean being for the free market and small government, right? And balancing the budget and cutting some entitlements. And it has totally transformed into being someone who opens an ad with your shotgun and rides around saying, I'm going to round up all the illegals and I'm going to then escort them to the border and kick them over, right? This isn't even just like, I'm going to make sure they go into court and then we'll see what happens to them. It has gotten so much more aggressive in the age of Trump, and people are liking it. They're not liking it enough, I think, to elect this fellow, though I don't know what is going to happen here. But it is so much more hypercharged than it used to be because these are competitive primaries, but I think also just because of the tone and rhetoric of this president.
Yeah, that's really the big question of the Trump presidency, isn't it, Charlie? It's like, is it a moment in time that sort of captures this kind of passion for things like a wall and things, in terms of gun ownership and all of that? Or has it tapped into something that is a lasting change and evolution in the country and in politics to recognize people who don't like the way things are going and are here to stay?
I think it's two things. One is after 8 years of President Obama, where a lot of people felt like, the law didn't matter. It was all about sort of political correctness and things like that. But the other thing is that these guys, and Jessica's right, this is not necessarily conservative. It's more populist than anything else. But I don't think the founders, for example, would be terribly upset by all of this. They never intended to have a professional political class. They didn't want a professional political class. They wanted people who had other jobs and owned chainsaws and shotguns and trucks and did other things and came to Washington, brought their common sense to Washington, fixed things, ran the government, and then went home. This whole idea where we have literally a swamp, the Potomac, along the Potomac River, where people never leave, and now we have air conditioning. You know, if we didn't have air conditioning, they would have to leave in the summer because it's so miserable here. But now they're here all the time, and they're spending all of our money.
Get rid of the air conditioning. That's an excellent point. Turn off all the air conditioning in Washington this summer. My favorite part of those ads are the guys in the suits and ties, you know, crawling through the swamp, and they're stuck in the thing, and they can't quite get out. Real quick,
to that point, I just wanted to add something that I think is really fantastic that is happening on both sides is how much veterans are showing off what they did for our country. And this is on the Democrat side as well. And I think that's really wonderful to see that has become something that you lead with.
Absolutely.
And I think that's an important message for everyone, both sides of the aisle.
Thanks, you guys. Great to see you both.
Thanks, Martha. Bye, Charlie.
So President Trump also talking immigration today and not mincing words either. Watch this.
We're taking people out of the country. You wouldn't believe how bad these people are. These aren't people. These are animals.
Pretty strong language, and he's even getting support from elected leaders in California. Michelle Steele on why she is fighting back against her own governor. She was at the White House today.
Jerry Brown wants to take this American dream from us. I see myself.
He'll be retired pretty soon.
I hope so.
End of the year. End of the year. Somebody said he's going to run for president. I said, please run.
I've worked with 6 presidents, and I respect them all. But no president has done more than you for border security and for law enforcement. I think every law enforcement officer at this table would agree with me.
Thank you very much, Sean. That's very nice. That's a great compliment, believe me. I just wish you could have said that to the press, but, you know.
That was the president today holding a roundtable at the White House with elected leaders from California who are fighting back against that state's sanctuary laws. Nearly 24 Southern California communities have now passed ordinances and in some cases filed lawsuits against the state's immigration laws that largely prohibit local and state authorities from cooperating with federal immigration officers. The president also issued a word of warning for Oakland Mayor Libby Schaaf. You remember her story. She warned illegal immigrants of incoming planned ICE raids back in February.
I mean, you talk about obstruction of justice. I would recommend that you look into obstruction of justice for the mayor of Oakland, California, Jeff. She advises 1,000 people. They told, get out of here, the law enforcement's coming.
Michelle Steele is an Orange County supervisor that proposed a resolution to condemn the California sanctuary state law, and she was at today's event. Michelle, welcome. Good to have you here today.
Thank you very much
it feels like there's this, rift. There's a serious rift in California between these counties and communities who really want to have safer communities against the sanctuary cities. But the question from today's roundtable is what's accomplished? Can you ever turn the tide in California?
You know what, we accomplished because President Trump is supporting us. And you know what, he wanted to hear that what we are doing. Actually, 9 counties and more than 35 cities passed ordinances or resolution that we are going after this bad law. So we really want to make that, charge of this. So our public is going to be much safer. At this point, we jeopardized our public safety.
Let's take a look at what Jerry Brown tweeted after the meeting and the videotape that was played from the White House today. He said, at real Donald Trump is lying on immigration, lying about crime, and lying about the laws of California. Flying in a dozen Republican politicians to flatter him and praise his reckless policies changes nothing. We, the citizens of the 5th largest economy in the world, are not impressed. Your reaction, Michelle?
You know what, this has nothing to do with the immigration. And then this title of SB 54 is totally misleading because California Values Act, values of what? Criminals we're talking about. So you know what, people think that, oh, we are actually bashing immigrants. I am a first-generation immigrant. Of course not. We are talking about criminal illegals that they are walking on the street. In Orange County itself, we had about 338 criminals were released on the street. We suppose handed them to ICE, but we couldn't do it because of the California law. This is unsafe. Our job and government job is it, protect its own citizens. And it's not done in California, so we really have to fight for it. And President Trump invited us to talk about it, and I'm so grateful for that because, we are frontliners that we are fighting against this bad law, but federal government is helping. And he listened to everybody who were there, and he commented, and actually we had Jeff Sessions was there. We have a cabinet secretary from Homeland Security, that Secretary Nielsen was there. ICE, Director Mr. Holman was there. So he was pointing at those people that what we can do, work with these people.
I just have a few seconds left, but are you all looking for money, federal backing from the federal government for these lawsuits?
Well, no, we just want to change this bad law. So Orange County itself actually filed to join Jeff Sessions' lawsuit. And June 5th, we're going to find out that, we can join them or not. So this is the, working together, partnership between federal government and, the county and these cities. And this is unconstitutional.
All right, Michelle, thank you very much. Good to have you with us tonight.
Thank you.